Welcome to the World Happiness Podcast.
A space to remember that happiness is not just a destination.
It's who we are.
And when we become happiness and cultivate inner peace,
we become living catalysts of transformation.
Lighting the path for others to awaken,
To heal,
To thrive.
Through each conversation, we explore how remembering and embodying our true nature
is an act of collective healing.
and how consciousness and happiness
are the bridge to lasting peace.
Take a breath.
Tune in and join us, not just to listen,
but to expand consciousness and happiness
To every corner of the world.
Welcome to this new episode of the World Happiness Podcast. Today's episode is a journey, a sensory exploration through the vibrations that move us, the frequencies that awaken us, and the rhythms that remind us we are alive. I have lived and witnessed many experiences of consciousness, transformation, and happiness, and I know the big role sound and music play in that. But it wasn't until I met our guest today, Lola Villa, that I began to truly understand the deeper meaning of sound, not just as music, but as a bridge to other state of minds, of being, of feeling. Lola is an intersectional artist and activist from Bogota, Colombia. She's also a DJ, a composer of hypnotic electronic soundscapes that are infused with folkloric magic. How does that sound? And mostly, she is a weaver of worlds. In her sets, she conjures the spirits of nature, the heartbeats of the jungle, the pulse of the city, and many voices that resist, rise, and reclaim their joy. Her work isn't just about music. It's a call to presence, a dance of reconnection, and a poetic disruption of how we engage with sound, activism, and art. Through her commitment to radical inclusion and climate action, Lola reminds us that sound can heal, unite, and awaken the collective. And I had the joy to meet her in a castle in the middle of Poland in an amazing space of creativity and experience creation called the College of Extraordinary Experiences. So just by the title, I think you can imagine the amazing space it was. So today, I invite you to listen not just with your ears, but with your whole being, because sound in Lola's world is a doorway, and we are about to walk through it. So I would like to start with the question of how was your journey into this world of sound, and what does sound and music means to you?
Well, thank you so much. Such an honor to be here. I feel like, growing up in a country like Colombia, music is an intricate part of our being. Like you maybe experience that too in Mexico, but every place has a soundtrack, and Latin America has a very specific soundtrack. And obviously, like, rhythm is big in my country. Like, growing up with family and music, it's just always been part of our identity. Without me knowing, I feel it's not something that we specifically talk about, but it is just so part of our culture: music, sound, rhythm. We're very loud people. We express ourselves a lot through voice, without knowing. Again, I feel like it was the moment when I left Latin America and I lived in Europe that I started to understand how loud we are and how much we express ourselves through sound and voice. And loud, not in a negative sense of the word. It's just an aspect of how we communicate. And then I grew up in a household of musicians. So my stepdad, multi instrumentalist, made ambient music, created sounds from bamboo shots, and very much in touch with like the universe. Very much a Ram Dass human. And so through his record collection, through his ambient work, I started to develop a sense of love for sound. Also, music was I feel like it was like my caretaker when I was growing up, since I moved away when I was really young, and, leaving Colombia in the 90s when it was like a really tough moment for our country. Music was a way for me to reconnect with everything in myself and my sense of identity. And so yeah, so growing up in this like massively like musical household was the backbone of my discovery of sound. And then in my 20s, I moved to Amsterdam, and my partner at the time was a DJ and musician, so he influenced me a lot. And that was also the moment when I started to experiment and discover psychedelic medicine, like mushroom medicine or LSD. And I started to feel that you opened up other realms of sensitivities by taking medicine, and then obviously being so open to frequencies and how sound plays such a crucial role in that exploration of the self and the universe. And then obviously sitting in ceremony in back in the jungle, back in the Amazon in Colombia, how you sit in ceremony and you take medicine, and music is the entry point. Music is a connector, music is the tool, music is the doorway to something greater, right? Also obviously like my yoga practice is pretty big right now, and eventually like understanding mantras and understanding Om, understanding the sound of creation, understanding not even understanding, but like embodying it through like frequencies. I feel like going from the mind into the body, that was also like an aha moment of like, okay, there is a different way to achieve embodiment and connection and bliss, and it is through frequencies. And the world was created through sound, so how can we go back to that notion? So it's been a like a weaving of different practices and my own experience with the medicine, and then like my own sense of identity through music by making my own music and playing my own music, my sense of identity and my place in the world, what I want to do, and like my purpose eventually became music making and how I want to connect with people. So yeah, it's been like 15 years of like really being in touch with sound, and every time it evolves into something slightly more specific or different, or a project that is more connected to a specific ecosystem, for instance, with this notion that it is through sound and frequencies that we can embody this like wholeness with it all.
Well, for me, it's mind-blowing because I think what you shared at the beginning is like every country or every space has a specific soundtrack, right? And I once heard a woman that was visiting Mexico or visited Mexico, and I was like, how it was for you? And she was like, well, the energy of the people and the place, and she described Mexico in such a peculiar way that I've never heard before. And it was through the energies of the people and the space. But also now you're saying the soundtrack of a specific place, and something that you mentioned, we were talking back a few days about how we as humans are very visual and everything is very visual and we are getting tired of it. But sound for so many people, and I think it's most of the status quo, it doesn't play a big role in our life unless you're a musician or you're very tuned with sound. But it has a very impactful it's a very impactful space. And I think through that connection, because everything that you share for me is very passionate and mind-blowing, and how music and just sound connect us really to not just higher states of mind, because I agree with you. I also taken some ayahuasca and mushroom ceremonies, and it really, the drums and all the frequencies are these doorways to this other space. And you don't specifically need, I think, all these substances.
No.
They can take you through connection with different feelings, because what I found really passionate about is how the frequencies like tune us in different symphonies.
Totally.
And that's how it creates, like, I'm not the engineer of sound, right? But it creates something different. So that's why I think this episode, it's very special. And also because I think through knowing you, so many people wants to be a musician or something related with sound. And we have so many paradigms. I love breaking paradigms, and so many paradigms of how the world of music looks like, right?
Yeah.
For me to be famous and be rich with music, it's so difficult, and you cannot live through your passion. So I think there are so many limiting paradigms in the world of music and sound. And by knowing you and the work that you do, and also I think weeks before knowing you, I was in Guatemala in a summit, and they use sound and music with headphones, and it was a really transformational experience. So how linking these transformational experiences, consciousness with music, it's also this doorway for us to reach higher states of mind and state of transformation. Because just by tuning in with some music that makes us feel sad or even angry or more happy, I think that's the difference. So I would also like to ask you a little bit more of how has been your path in music? Like surely it was difficult at some point, but now I think the whole paradigm shift that you've made in this journey of yours, it has been really disruptive, and I think it's an example for people to know that there are different possibilities of how to do music and sound. So how's that journey have been for you?
That's a really good question, and I feel like we're having a lot of conversations around, who gets to live from music and what does music mean and what is the value that we place on sound and music as a society. Indeed, we talked about the fact that we are very visual beings and that everything is like communicated through the eyes. Like we choose a dinner because of like the photos. If you're in a foreign country, we choose a house or a hotel according to the photos. We choose a date according to photos. So how can we step back and tap into that other realm, which is sound, and how powerful it can be? Like you go into a restaurant, you will have a completely different experience of your food and the people that you were with, depending on the sound and the light. So even if the food is good, your experience will be different according to sound. So sound has an enormous effect on how you experience the world. And then with that notion of like, okay, if we look at the music industry, if we look at what I want to do with sound, there is so much more than just quote unquote releasing the music. So yes, you're in the studio, you make the sounds, you put them out there. However, there are so many different ways in which you can put your music out there and put your sound out there and allow for someone to experience your work, that it can be transformational. And in that sense, your offer is way more complex and richer and interesting for more people than just, let's say, put my music on Spotify. So thinking about, okay, yes, this is music, but it's also so much more than that, right? Because we live in a society where people are not used to paying for music. So it's like, okay, how can I put myself out there, be in an immersive experience, create with other people, collaborate, so that we're actually getting to people without asking them to just listen to the music, right? It's like, hey, be present, do this. How can I incorporate my sounds in different environments, right? The corporate environment, the facilitator environment, the yoga environment, you know what I'm saying? So how can we bring these sounds and this experience to different realms so that I'm not relying only on gigs or only on streaming, which is, it's impossible, if not, not doable to like get to like live from it.
And I think that's a bigger shift, because when you just see whatever it's already done in the world, it's like difficult to follow up that rhythm and that space. But if you actually collaborate, right, like how you mix the different senses of visuals, but sound and taste and whatsoever we can encounter in the world. And also, I think the biggest shift is how can I create an experience through sound, that what we learned a little bit in the College of Extraordinary Experiences. Like this experience field is very wide and very open, and I think sound creates a lot of experience. And for many people, I think when you get to kind of turn off the visual part, right, our visual sense, we enter so many different, we open up a lot. And if you connect with sound, you can even visualize things with your eyes closed
100%.
through sound.
Yes.
Right. So I think it has a powerful impact. And also something else that I want to dive deep in, it's I think this creation of experience is wonderful, but from the World Happiness Foundation and the work that we do, it's always how to bring more consciousness in ourselves, that we kind of tackle that, for others in communion. And the bigger part is like our planet and the environment. And I know you consider yourself an activist for the environment, and that's also something that really connected with me how nature it's their own music. Like nature, it's always singing, always talking, always creating this music, but we don't listen.
Right.
So listening is so crucial in this space. And I know through the music that you do, you incorporate these sounds of nature to awaken people also in the role we play, not just as spectators or disruptors of the space, but how do we actually interact with our sound and voices and just being there in the spaces and can actually create the impact. So what led you to that space of activism through sound into nature and protection of the environment? And how can we connect more with the listening part or the role that our voices, whatever sound we make, impacts the environment?
I've always been like activism has always been part of my DNA as a human and as a migrant woman, Latin American woman. And also, you know, starting off playing house music and techno as a DJ and understanding that the places from which these genres were created were places of oppression and how the dance floor became a tool of liberation. So my work started there first. The dance floor as a place of liberation and electronic music as a new language that was created in rejection to more oppressive music styles. And how, yeah, Black and brown people found liberation there. So that's how it started. And then eventually, you know, if we are on, if our ecosystems are unwell, then obviously it has a repercussion of our own well-being. So eventually I was like, okay, there needs to be an awareness of our, like, beyond the dance floor, what can we, how can we tune into what's out there? And like the work of like Brian Eno was really inspiring to me. He's an ambient musician that works a lot with field recordings. And yeah, in that kind of like exploration of what's out there and the sound of what's out there, I learned that, yeah, like nature has a rhythm, a symphony, a harmony. Everything in nature is harmonious. Everything has an ebb and flow. And so all the things that I teach in my sound design, when I teach sound design, has this inspiration from nature of like tension and release, harmony, negative space, you know, things like that we can adapt to music. And then eventually it's like, okay, I am not here to preach, or I'm not here to have people feel bad about themselves and their role and the environment and be negative. I don't feel like being negative or putting numbers out there is actually helping us as a species. Actually, that is fighting crisis with more crisis. However, turning something as nature into something way more human, which is music, and having people tap into that, feel into that, can be way more transformative than being hopeless or having a report with numbers and a certain amount of years that we have left on this earth. So my purpose is to bring beauty out into the world and have people through beauty and frequency connect with themselves and with something that is larger. And yeah, and I might start a set or a session with like, hey, the sounds that you're hearing are of birds that no longer exist. Let that sink in. That's it. I'll just plant the seeds and then let music do the rest of the work and let people just, you know, digest in their own way. And it's up to them. You know, it's not up to me. I feel like the role of the music is to have an effect on people, or the experience, the immersive experience, the meditation, have an effect on people, and then people can like go and it's up to them, you know. That's the role. I don't know if that answers your question.
Totally. I think I can grab many things of what you just said. And one of them is how it's planting seeds.
Totally.
And it's not about creating fear. And because we understand, and I think through music, maybe musicians get to understand more the power of frequency and vibration. And that every feeling, it's a frequency and vibration. So that's why I think so many different tunes and music create different sensations and emotions in us, because we tune in with the frequency. So when we talk about fear and about like, that's kind of always my recommendation, being activist or wanting to create a shift, is like if we fight the system, if we create these anger and fear situations, it won't get us very, very far.
No, exactly.
Because from there, it's the motion that has always brought us up. And I'm not saying anger is bad and fear is bad. It's just like it's not a very impactful vibration. So I think this planting the seeds with something that's, one, beautiful, two, inspirational, it's really how we connect. And also the work that you do, from what I'm hearing, it's tuning in first with us.
Yes.
And that's key for transformation and for making an impact outside, because if I'm disconnected with myself, of course, I'll be disconnected from other people and from our ecosystem.
Right.
So I think that's the key point of this transformation. And also something you said, that it's music and sounds are also languages.
Totally.
And we're not open to listening, right? So
Yeah.
it's like how many times we go to the forest, or we go just even to a park or be with plants, and they are just like, even if they make no sound, they are speaking, right? Or
Yeah.
we are not listening.
Totally.
So I think those are also important things to notice, and maybe a first invitation here for people who are listening is like, can you stop and listen to the music and the language that nature speaks? Would you have any other recommendation or maybe a tool practice for the people who are listening? Besides, I think one will be, of course, listening to the creations that you've made, but also how to start tuning more with the sound, with the music and the language of ourselves, of nature, or any other thing that comes to your mind.
Yeah, well, it's so like beautiful the way that you've put it, but indeed, I feel like words and our vocabulary is sometimes limiting in the way that we describe our relationship to what's out there and ourselves and nature. We talk about nature as if it was a destination, as if it was a place that you visit, and in reality, it's not a place that you visit. It's not far away. It's actually within you. It's a gut bacteria is the wood of this table, that where it comes from, the tree that was this table, you know? So indeed, sound it's kind of like this connection, or like this bridge between what we perceived as us and what is out there, and it embodies like the notion of entanglement and the notion of connection. So indeed, like, first of all, letting go of the words and tapping into the listening. My work is actually a lot about deep listening. So first you listen, first you sit in silence and tune into that frequency. Maybe it's in the city, maybe it's on your balcony, maybe you can get access to a park, leave the city, be in nature, find a sit spot. It's called forest bathing in Japanese, Shinrin-yoku. It's a concept that I use a lot in my work, is how can you enter the ecosystem that where you can sit, and in 15 minutes you'll be able to tap into what's out there. And the more you do it, the more you can tap into it. I would consider eating in silence. Just like, silence is also sound, right? So for us, it is silence, but once we start tuning in, there's actually a lot of sound, and it is the potential of sound. But starting to, like, for instance, have your lunch, or once a week or every now and then, just have your food in silence, so that you can be with your food, be in connection with it, be in connection with yourself, and then eventually start adding, like, start like tapping into what's sounding out there. I would do that, like, spend time in silence. I would maybe like your morning routine can be in silence. I think that is a great way to start building from nothingness, or from a fertile ground, and then start adding how do you tap into what's sounding out there. And then if you can, so a lot of my work, it's called the enchanted land. It's because first we listen to the land that is actually always singing to us. Enchanted, encantada comes from singing, from to chant. So the land is enchanted because she's been singing to us. So once we first listen, you sit in silence, tap into it, start listening to patterns, start listening to harmony, start listening to rhythms. Then maybe you want to record and take it with you. That's another nice way to like have it with you. And when you're stressed, when you're, I don't know, somewhere and you just like press your recording of the birds or the whatever you listen to. And then the next level is to sing back to her and to however you feel like making sound, tap into that rhythm, become a choir, with whatever you're listening to. It can also just be go to church, go to yoga, like go dancing and sing, go to a concert and sing, like tap into what's out there with your voice. I think that's a beautiful way to kind of like bring that full circle, which is my work. My work is like, first I record, I sit, I listen, I record, then I make my music, then I sing it back to it. And then in my immersive experiences, I tell the story of that ecosystem so that people can connect with it in a certain way.
Beautiful. It connected with me in so many different levels. I think it sank into my heart when you were saying to listen to the land and this enchantment that I've never known the actual word or meaning of enchanted.
Even in Spanish, encantada comes from singing. Yeah, from cantar.
Cantar. Even that, I think, like so many times we don't stop to see what's already there. The words, like they have so much meaning in them, and we don't see them because we just get with the outermost cliche and like this part that it's in the outside world, but we never tune in with the actual meaning. So that's something that sink in with me. And the second thing is how it really, like the whole process and how silence is the first step and it's the gateway to sound and the gateway to music. Because if you don't listen, you cannot create music or you cannot really tune in with nature. And even with ourselves being part of nature, that I think that's something that you say is like, we don't have to go anywhere to look for nature because we are nature and we are so disconnected around that's the main problem, that we see ourselves not as nature. So we are separate from nature. So we make all the different disasters that we are making to our planet. But I think that's totally wonderful and beautiful. And these stages, I just want to go out and listen because that's the space. What if you just be quiet and stop and listen in this world of rush? Because I think silence is very linked to pausing.
Yes, exactly.
So it's how do we pause and stop and be silent so we can tune in with other spaces from ours and from the world.
Yeah.
And I really think that's something wonderful and beautiful and a great exercise to put into practice in this rush world. And I think finally, for closing up this episode, would be how do you transmit, like you were saying, you stop, you listen, then you record, and then you create these sounds for people to listen and create something different. Do you have any example that has get to your heart and core of this work that you've been doing, and what would be a project from this theory that you just shared into practice, and how through your work you create consciousness in other people?
So this notion of, we started the conversation talking about how loud Latin America is. When I went to Japan and I toured there, and I was there for 4 weeks alone traveling, that's when the whole concept of silence really, I just got it. I was like, oh, okay, these people like really have a solid respect for silence. And there's places where it's like incredibly loud and like crazy and like all these like flashlights and there's so much going on. And then 2 streets further, it's like shrine, silence, you hear nothing. And so my next project is going to tap a little bit more into like pockets of silence as and how do we use silence not to silence ourselves, like not as an oppressive silence, but as an active verb of like the potential for listening and the potential for music and creation, right? How like the fertile ground is to just sit still actively, right? It's not a passive, like I'm gonna shut up, but it's an active state of listening in silence. So my next project, it's going to be a lot around creating pockets of silence with music. So if I start a piece with music and then I stop and then I allow people to be in silence and then music starts again, then people can measure pockets of silence in their lives, right? So that's kind of like where the work is going now. It's like, okay, let's start to harness the power of silence by having pockets of music so that you already know when is the moment of silence for yourself, because it's hard. It's hard to be in silence, but like so now you can just like play the song and then the song is going to say 20 minutes and then it's a preparation. So music is a preparation for 20 minutes of silence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of the where my mind is going, where my work is going, and also in my immersive experiences, right? It's like very often I'll feel this anxiety that I have to always have something on because people are gonna get like they're gonna be like, what are you doing? You're wasting my time. So I get into this place of like I need to keep playing stuff because I need to keep putting stuff out there. So now it's an experiment of like there's gonna be moments of nothingness, and that's part of the music. And I want you to sit with that. And sit with the discomfort or wanting to leave or wanting to think of something else or whatever. Just sit with that. Something will come. I need you to be patient. So it's really this like practice of patience, of sitting, of listening. So that's kind of like where I'm playing.
Amazing. I think it's also about your journey, which makes it even more special, because what you just shared, I feel the power of silence, and we can even record another episode after about that. But it opens door with this discomfort, because I understand you well when you said just like I need to keep playing. I need to keep putting something out in the world.
Yeah.
In your case, it's with music.
Yeah.
In my case, can be content creation or saying something, right?
Totally.
And I think this is another invitation for whoever is listening. Like, what do you feel you need to keep putting out there? Right? Even energy, just walking, making more money. So what's that for you? Because this is a key point.
Totally.
And how silence actually opened up many conversations. Once I was listening The Power of Silence, like there has been a lesson about that many years ago. And I tried, and there was this uncomfortable silence between my brother and me while I was driving, and I just put music, right? And at the moment, I create this awareness of, oh, that's exactly what I shouldn't be doing. So I turn off the radio, stop in total silence, and at some point he started talking, sharing something very deep about him. So it was like, wow, this silence opens up the door for many other things, for
100%.
connection with ourselves, connection with others, with nature. So I think these new projects that you are creating, Pockets of Silence, wow.
Yeah.
They're just amazing. First, because it's your own journey and your own transformation. And I think that authenticity, put it out there for the people to also experience, is how we learn and how we share. And two, because it's the doorway to many other things.
Totally.
So thank you for sharing that and for this wonderful episode that personally for me it has been very enriching. And since I met you, it's just like the transformation of sound and silence and music. And then also, of course, for all the people who are listening. And I would like to close the episode with a suggestion of yours. I want to invite everyone listening to stop. Maybe they can pause after this and get some headphones. What would be the piece of yours that you will recommend for the people to close this episode as an invitation for connecting with themselves and also with nature to create this change in our environment?
A piece of music?
Yeah, of yours.
Of mine?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a great question. Well, my Amazon album just came out. I spent 2 months in the Amazon recording with the Bora community. They use a mangare drum, which is it's a tree, and they use it as a means of language. So it's like a very intricate, deep, complex language, but it's the drum. So this just came out, and there's a song there called Amazonia, which is like the intro song of like the introduction to like, hey, enter the Amazon. I think that would be a great way to get started, learn a little bit about my music, and tap into the Amazon.
Okay, great. And how would you recommend them to make it an experience? Because you just share like it's not the same putting just a sound that explaining the context and then the sound. You already explained the context. But for them, even if we are far away and everyone is in their home, how can they experience your music? How can they create the space to experience your music?
I mean, get a good sound system. Invest in a good sound system, I would say, if you can. Otherwise, no worries. But if you have the time to listen to the whole album, I think we hardly do, like, give ourselves the gift of listening to an entire album anymore. So it's an album. So it's like really like Beatles style, like A side, B side. It has an intro. It has the raw recordings from the indigenous communities. It has the raw recordings from the Mangwere drums. It has an order. It has an ebb and flow. It has silence, right? So it's not meant to be streamed while at the gym, right? It is like the best possible way to experience this piece is by like just make some tea or coffee or popcorn or whatever, come with friends and like put headphones or put it in a nice sound system. And if you have 90 minutes, not even like 60 minutes, then just sit and listen, close your eyes and be like transformed to the Amazon. Like imagine yourself in the Amazon at 3 a.m. where everything is dark. It's like purple. It's so dark that you can't even see your hand, right? And then your other senses need to like wake up. That's how the Amazon works for you. So try to create that in your mind or in your living room would be beautiful.
I got chills. Yeah, I think that's, and you just mentioned, and I think that's another paradigm break for me, how we sit with friends to watch a movie for an hour and a half or two. But we've never, at least I have never done that, like sit even by myself or with friends listening to a whole album of music.
Yeah.
So that's a great invitation. If you don't feel you have the time, because you of course have it, but if you don't feel you have the time, just listen to this first one, Amazonia. And we will do it for you. We will play it here in this episode. And the invitation is just, even if you cannot buy a very good sound system, just put some headphones or anything or speakers, but that you can be immersed in the sound, sit or prepare your space, because I think it's also like a ritual, right?
Totally.
Or a space of connection. Close your eyes and not just listen not just sit and listen. It's just like imagine yourself in the Amazonia, and how would it be what Lola just described of this immersion there. I think that's a great invitation and a great space to close the podcast. So after we just say goodbye and thank you, we'll play the music. You can put pause to this recording and prepare your space and listen to this very amazing, I don't know if you call it song or experience.
It's a little bit of both. It's like a sonic journey, I would say, sonic trip, astral musical journey, I would say. And also, if you either stream it or buy it on Bandcamp, 20% will go to the community in the Amazon. So
beautiful. It all goes in a cycle, very beautiful cycle. Well, perfect. So thank you very much for this enriching episode. And I think it's an episode that touched my heart, my soul, because of everything that you're doing and how it's just paradigm breaking. And I love that. So thank you for bringing this up and for all your creations and the consciousness, awareness that you are putting out there for all the people to also experience this, even if they are not in the Amazonia. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure. It is such an honor.
And we can find you either Spotify or...
Yeah, Lola Villa on Spotify. I'm on SoundCloud, Lola Villa Musica, and I am on Instagram, Lola Villa by Nature, TikTok, Lola Villa by Nature. Yes.
Perfect. We'll put this all there. So thank you, Lola. Thank you all for listening, and stay here for this amazing experience, song, sound, music, and silence. See you in the next episode.
Hello from the Amazon. The sounds are pretty spectacular. The Amazon. The sounds are pretty spectacular. Just the orchestra. So good. The Amazon. The Amazon. The Amazon. The Amazon. The Amazon. Just the orchestra. So good. Sending some love from here. The Amazon. The Amazon.